Welcome back to the Boot Tragedies. All right, we're going to do a little quick draft recap, go over some of these guys, give my draft grades for the Saints. Obviously, you can see the tweet up on the screen, and we'll just go through them real quick, and I'll talk about each guy individually. With the first round pick, we went Kelvin Banks, tackle out of Texas, one of the best offensive linemen of the year award. Did a whole video on him, so if you want to check out that, you can check out that. I won't really talk about the first two as much because I did videos on Tyler Shough and Kelvin Banks already. So these first two guys, you can go check out those videos, but I gave that a B+. I just think that he was a guy that probably was going to be there from the 12 to 18 range. So if we traded down, maybe got, another second round pick out of it, or maybe another third round pick out of it, I like that pick a little bit better. Probably would have gave that an A. And the Tyler Shough pick, I already said if he was the 71st pick, I wouldn't be as mad. But as a top 40 guy in NFL draft, like, I expect that guy to come in and be a starter and contribute to the team. Now, he's going to get that chance because he's a quarterback, and the quarterback situation is murky for the Saints. But I gave that a D. Then we got Vernon Broughton from Texas. He can play, I think, all over the defensive line and odd fronts and things like that. So he may have been a reach in some people's eyes, but I think his versatility. Obviously, Davis coached at Texas before LSU, before coming to the Saints, so he's familiar with this guy, and he played behind some really good players, some dogs at Texas. So my screen kind of jumped, and I do like that. I do like that from Broughton. So I think he'll be a good player for the Saints, like a guy I think he can come in right away and contribute to the team. Now we'll go to the guys that I haven't made videos on. And we can start with Jonas Sanker, safety out of Virginia. Obviously a position of need. I gave this a B- for the Saints, just because he's had some tackling issues, but he loves to tackle, if that makes sense. We can go look at his stats real quick. Let's pull that up first. Believe he was a 3-year starter at Virginia. Kellen Moore already said he can come in and envision this guy on special teams, and that's what you're really getting out of these guys, especially late in the draft, towards the mid round, later round in the draft. You're looking for a guy to contribute on special teams and maybe be a depth piece, and maybe have a chance to start after that. But if you look at his years, freshman year didn't play as much. Sophomore year, 36 tackles. Junior year had a really good year, with 73 tackles, 107 combined. 73 solo was absolutely crazy from a safety. 4 tackles for loss. And then his senior year, 65 solo, 98 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 interception, had 1 interception, 2 career interceptions. So obviously he's not a home run hitter at safety position, which I think we kind of needed with Reed and Tyron. Both, not Reed, not as much as Tyron, getting up there. Howden doesn't really, hasn't really shown anything. So I do like this safety pick, and we definitely needed a safety. Now we're gonna move on to Danny Stutsman, linebacker from Oklahoma. A guy that a lot of people liked. A lot of people like this pick. Only watched the highlight tape, so I can't pretend to know everything about Danny Stutsman right now. I just realized in my tweet I got Statesman, but it's cool. Ran 4.5. That's pretty good. That's pretty good right there. Looking at all this coverage, 57. I definitely noticed his coverage skills he's okay in coverage. I don't know, that 57 might be, well, I guess if you're looking at the NFL running backs, he'll have to cover and stuff like that in space. It needs to be a 57, but he's not going to go lock you down, but he can get the spots. He's okay in zone. Man to man, he's going to be cooked. So we shouldn't put him in that position, but he's not a super liability. He's smart. He can get to the right spots. From what I've seen on the highlight tape, the plays he's made is not because he's a super athlete. It's just because, he's dropping, he's getting his depth, he's getting in the right position, he understands concepts and things like that. So he's getting in the right spot. So I like this pick. From the Saints, I gave this a B+. Just around, you got him in. A guy I think is going to be probably get some snaps, probably play some special teams for the Saints. I think it's a really good pick. And now we got Quincy Riley, cornerback from Louisville. So got obviously got a teammate of Tyler Shough here. So we did a lot of teammate things. Tackling 58%. Run defense 58%, coverage 81%, 76%, 79%. Now this is not the end all be all. Actually, let me go to Jonas Sanker real quick. Let's see what Draft Buzz had to say about Sanker. Let's see if they saw what I saw. See, they gave his tackling an 80, which is okay, because when I saw the film, his tackling was like, he likes to tackle and he makes tackles, but it just needs some work. Run defense 73, coverage 74. Yeah, his coverage wasn't the greatest from what I've seen, but it's okay. He was projected 4th round. Let's see what these guys were projected. Third round for Stutsman. Riley projection fifth. So like we're getting these guys where they were projected to be at. He's gonna have to tackle better as a corner. But I mean, honestly, in that Saints cornerback room, he could come in and compete. I haven't watched enough of him to really give my opinion, so I'm just gonna, go off draft buzz right there. Came from Middle Tennessee State. 14 passes defended. I like that. I'll definitely go watch him and see what he has to offer on that. And then my favorite pick was probably Devin Neal. This is a really, really good pick for the Saints who really need to run it back in that backfield because Kendre Miller has not shown anything that the Saints can count on and depend on an everyday basis. So getting this guy produced in college. When I'm saying we got production from a guy in college. Look at this. From his freshman year, hitting the ground running, man. 700 yards, 8 touchdowns. Sophomore year, 1,000 yards, almost 1,109 touchdowns. Then 1,280 yards, 16 touchdowns. And almost 1,300 yards again and 16 touchdowns. Even caught the ball in the backfield. Had 77 career catches. Almost averaging about 20 a year. This guy can play football, had 53 touchdowns in college. This is a football player that you need on your team. This guy will make the roster. You can hear this now. I know he's a late round pick, but this guy's going to make the roster. He's already better than Kendre Miller. Just because he's been healthy, he's been available. Now, knock on wood on that it stays that way. But I really, really like this pick for the Saints. This was my A+ of the draft from where you get him at. From where you got him at, and then, just how good he is. That value that we got from him. I think that was a really, really good pick from the Saints. I think that was the best pick in the draft for the Saints. Then we got, I'm not even going to try to pronounce Moliki, whatever his name is, tight end from UCLA. I actually watched him. He had a good senior season. Not a blazer. I think he ran like 4.8. They said 4.9 or something like that. Not a super blazer at tight end, but he's more of a traditional tight end. He can line up, attached to that offensive line in the run game. Unlike Juwan Johnson, who's really more of a receiving threat, more than a blocking tight end. You can line this guy up at the tight end position, like the true tight end position in line. He can run some vertical routes. He can find some spaces. He kind of plays like, and please don't kill me when I say this because I'm not comparing him to Travis Kelce, but he kind of plays how Travis Kelce plays now. Like 37-year-old Travis Kelce, if you can imagine that, how he's kind of slower, but he's just finding spots. Travis Kelce it's not really, like Travis Kelce 5 years ago where he's just getting open, just outrunning people, just being a better athlete. Now he's more of a old vet, where he's just kind of finding space, getting open and things like that. He kind of plays like that where he's going to keep athleticism, but he's going to just find some holes, find some pockets, get open. He plays kind of like that. I think he can develop into something, maybe be a tight end too for the Saints down the line. I think that was a good pick. C- just because I think if we're going to take a tight end, we need to playmaker early, so it's not really a indication on him. I just don't think we needed a tight end that late. We could have just went with somebody that can probably contribute on special teams for us and things like that. And then we got Fadil Diggs, my last pick. I'm really, really high on him just because it's the 7th round, man. You got to go boom or bust with the 7th round picks, and most likely it's going to be bust because they're 7th round picks for a reason. But you got a guy that was highly touted out of high school, ended up going to Texas A&M. Now, it didn't work at A&M because they're bringing in 5 stars every year. They're bringing in guys that are, going to be first-round picks every year. So it didn't work out at A&M. Then he went to Syracuse this past season, had 7.5 sacks. See, the extra playing time and the play jump, he can get on the field, and he reduced. Now, his tape is not that great. It's a lot he needs to work on, but that's what happens when you have a 7th-round pick. So I think he has potential to be a rotational defensive end. I mean, Carl Granderson was a 6th-round pick or something like that. I'm not saying he can become Carl Granderson, but that's your hope when you draft a guy in the 7th, and you just hope he can be, when he came out of high school, touted as. So we'll see how that goes. Overall, man, I think this is about a B- as an overall draft. I like we covered some holes, man. We got a tackle, definitely needed that. Could be a guard as well. Got a quarterback, definitely needed that. I think we reached for that. We got a defensive tackle, definitely needed that. A safety, definitely needed that. Linebacker, corner, running back, tight end, defensive end. We needed everything on the draft board. Honestly, it was no position the Saints could have picked that we didn't need. We need everything. That's how bad this team is. So I'll give it a B-. I like the draft. I'm not super hard on it. The quarterback pick is the only one that I really didn't agree with. I wanted to wait until next year, but hey, it's not my front office. And I actually predicted that in my mock draft for the Saints. I said the Saints would take him, and I think I might have done it at 71 though, and not 40. But I definitely had him and Mickey Loomis and Kellen Moore taking him in that mock draft. So it really didn't shock me. But let me know what y'all think about all of these picks in the comments below, man. Thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, this is DaBootTragedies.